Shabbat Perek Chet, Mishnah Gimel. We're continuing to talk about things that when you take out minimum requirement on Shabbat, you're obligated. In other words, these are the things that it's the minimum measurement that people use, pretty much. Let's continue. Or, parchment, leather. What's the smallest leather people use? So, or, hamotzi or, somebody who takes out parchment or leather. Shiuro, what's the minimum measurement? Kedei la'asot kamiya. So the measurement is in order to make an how do you call this in English? Kamiya is like the right things on parchments. Klomar lechasot bo kamiya, which means this is the covering of the kamiya. It's the covering. So in other words, the parchment, it's like a small holder that you make from it. Klaf, what about if it's something that is made to write on, like a mezuzah? What's the smallest leather for that? Like for writing instrument? Klaf, shiuro kidei lichtov alav parasha ktana shebetfilin. The measurement is the smallest parasha that you write on a klaf, which happens to be Shema Israel. It happens to be the Shema. The Shema is the smallest parasha you can write. It's about this big. You can probably write the Shema on it. Hainu kol parashat Shema. It means the entire parashat Shema. Ad uvisharecha. Until the words of Visharecha. Haklaf damav yekarim. The parchment that you write, the leather for the parchment, is expensive. ולכן אין משתמשים בו לקשר מוחסין. Therefore, people don't use it for the קשר of מוחסין. You remember the receipt that the tax guy gives it to you. They don't use קלף. אלא לתפילין. We only use it for תפילין, או למזוזות, או for מזוזה. הלקח קבעו שיעורו, לעניין הוצאה בשבת. Therefore, the measurement for that, when you take it out on Shabbat, כדי לכתוב עליו פרשת שמע. In order to write on it, the Shema. Makes sense. Dio, what about ink? How much ink would you take out and you obligated? So, כדי לכתוב שתי אותיות. Enough ink to write two letters. יש מפרשים על פי הגמרא, there are those who explain according to the Gemara, ששיעור זה, that this is measurement, בין ממוציא דיו בבני עצמו, is whether you take out the ink by itself, בין מוציאו על הקולמוס, whether you take out the ink on the feather, the writing instrument, בין מוציאו בכסת, whether you take it out in a container. אבל הרמב"ם כותב, the Rambam writes, המוציא דיו על הקולמוס, if somebody takes out ink on the pen, שיעורו כדי לכתוב ממנו שתי אותיות. The measurement is to write on it two letters. אבל אם הוציא הדיו בפני עצמו בכסת, but if you took out the ink by itself or inside a jar, צריך שיהיה בו יותר על זה. You need to have a little more than that. Why? Because when you put the feather in the ink and you take it out, you're not going to get all the ink out. So if it's exactly two letters, you don't have enough to write two letters because some of them will stay in the jar. So you need to have enough to write two letters, not just enough ink. כדי שיעלה ממנו על הקולמוס, כדי לכתוב שני אותיות. In order that it will come out on the feather, enough to write two letters. It's funny. It looks like, what about the pen? The feather itself? Aren't you concerned that you take out the feather or the container? But it says it only talks about ink. It doesn't talk about the feather or the pen or the container. Obviously, you're not allowed to take the container out. So it says not necessarily, because the container over here doesn't have any importance. It has no importance whatsoever. Its all importance is for the ink that's inside of it. And the same thing with the feather. A feather is nothing. It's unimportant. Yeah, nobody carries out feathers. But the ink that's on it, that's what's important. In other words, you don't have a need for the feather so much. You have a need for the ink. So it looks, since it is battle, it is nullified to the ink, we're not going to consider it. You know what it's like today? For example, you know, I'll give you an example. The toothpaste. You have toothpaste. The container that the toothpaste comes is important?
No.
You throw it away. It's subservient to, so when they say do not take out toothpaste, let's say you just take the container of the toothpaste out. Are you going to be obligated from the Torah? Why?
The chefetz.
So any chefetz you take out, you're obligated? It's a good question. So far we said there's a measurement. It's only if the chefetz is important. If the chefetz is unimportant, I'll give you an example. Let's say it's snowing, right? And it snows on your head, and now you're walking in the public domain 4 feet with the snow on your head. Are you obligated?
No.
Why not?
אתה לא לוקח את זה.
What do you mean? It fell on you. Clean it off and then walk. Why not?
אותו דבר כיפה.
Kippah is a levush. Kippah is a garment. But over here it fell on you. Why not? What's the logic? You're carrying.
אתה לא חשבת על זה, אתה לא...
So if you don't think about it, so you have to bring a korban sin offering. If it's by mistake,
זה לא mistake.
it's a mistake.
לא.
You didn't.
טבע.
You said you didn't have intentions. Yeah, you didn't intend. Let's say I hide a truck, a small truck that kids they are put in your pocket, and you walk with that in the public domain, and then you find the truck. You didn't have intention. Do you have to bring a sacrifice?
כן. צריך לבדוק.
Oh, so you didn't. You didn't make a sacrifice. Over here, there was snow. There was forget snow. There was mud on your clothing. You didn't check.
Outside.
It came outside. It came before. You don't know. Why not? So the idea it's unimportant. No, nobody needs it. It says no. If there's no use for it, yeah, maybe you shouldn't take it out. I agree that you should remove it. But if you didn't remove it, it's not important to bring a sacrifice. You only bring a sacrifice when it's important. So over here, if you just take the toothpaste container and there's nothing inside, nobody needs it. Already the toothpaste is all out. Do you need it? No, you don't need it. So maybe you shouldn't go out with it. But if you did go out with it, there's no sacrifice. The same thing, that's why you are not obligated when you take out ink in a container. Because the container is unimportant. It's only the ink that's inside that's the important part. Okay? Hamotzi kchol. What about if one takes out kechol? What is kchol? It's the thing that the women put, eyeshadow. Whatever they put blue stuff over here on top of the eye. Yeah? Puch, tseva enaim. It's the blue stuff they put on top of the eye. You know? Shiuro, how much measurement are you obligated? Kedei likhol ayin achat. In order to make a coloring on one eye. So the question is, that's stupid. No woman is going to go out with one eye. So therefore it's unimportant. So how can you say only one eye? I understand if you say enough to color two eyes. But there's no importance in one eye. That's for sure. So what's going on over here? Let's see. Begmura mevuaratam. In the Gemara it explains the reason. Sheken tznuot. That we remember we're talking about Arab countries over here, right? And they used to walk covered. It says the humble ones amongst them, sholchot mu'tafot. They used to go completely covered. ואין מגלות אלא עין אחת לראות. They used to cover most of the face, but they need to look where they're going, so they only left one eye to see. But when they will go out, they're not going to walk out without any makeup, so they did used to put makeup only on one eye. So therefore it was something that is important. Women did used to go out with only makeup on one eye. Rashi says, kochlot ayin achat. They used to color only one eye. Finish Mishnah Gimel.